beginning at an altitude of just about 300 feet. We had never seen anything at that close to the ground before.
Mysterious creature known as the Rake, a hairless humanoid creature standing about 6 feet tall. It's described as being very evil.
Always crowned for capturing unique bird-eyes views, drones have never disappointed by allowing us to watch the unimaginable. Uncanny enigmas shrouded in heights or heart-stopping rescues revealing mysteries.
Whoa! Oh!
These are the most intriguing drone footage that will have you scratching your head.
Ya, pasti dia punya. Jadi dia itu istilahnya menggambarkan orang biar dia.
There's a reason countless people want drones. They know they'll capture something unbelievable. Just like this Indonesian man who always wanted to explore a remote hill that had barred most residents from climbing up. So he decided to fly his drone over. Almost instantly, he saw something really strange. Dressed all in white,
dia udah ritual nih, ayo kita terus dekatin aja. Kayaknya pain belum sampai apa gimana ya? Sampai sini.
There was a group of people circling a pentagram etched over the ground, like they were performing a ritual.
Pasti kebal dan pasti kebal. Nah ini guys, kita lihat dulu guys, kita buktikan, kita incar dulu guys ya.
Well, here's where things get messy. Remember, I told you the hill was exceptionally difficult to climb? So were these cult followers always present at the top or reached through a secret route no one had known about?
Pain udah di situ, Den. Pain, monitor, maju lagi Pain, maju.
It's also possible they sought out the hill specifically for its remoteness. Now, you and I both know what the pentagram represents, but were these really followers of the devil? Or were they pranksters hoping to ward off UCOP? Who knows?
Ya, pasti dia punya ilmu. Jadi dia itu istilahnya menggambarkan orang biar dia itu semakin kuat.
Spies fall.
We have people with weapons, shooting at a drone, not caring where the bullets.
As cool as drones are, they can be pretty intrusive, especially when you're not being very law-friendly, if you know what I mean. A drone exploring the Fountain Creek area accidentally uncovered an area that Pueblo men were using. They had been camping out in the barren area with their cars ready to rumble at the slightest sign of trouble.
Pueblo police tell 13 investigates in the past they've located stolen cars and guns in that area.
I guess the drone became a troublesome affair for them since the minute they spotted it. They discharged a weapon at the drone in an attempt to ward it off.
One man fires multiple shots from a single handgun in an attempt to shoot down the drone.
Luckily, the drone owner was smart enough to scurry away, but it later returned to point out the location to officers and rescue personnel.
Police have actively helped people who may be displaced living in that area,
who cleared the area and relocated the people to a safer one. But you know, I don't exactly blame the Pueblo men for losing their temper on the drone. If a drone invaded my privacy, I'd be having a crack at them too. Masked Menace.
He's trying to get higher ground so we can hit the drone. Oh my god, yo, he's going up on...
For countless decades, Clinton Road has witnessed its fair share of gatherings of witches, ghostly apparitions, strange creatures, and even occasional groups that gather to worship the devil. Well, a YouTuber and his friend decided to use his wit and explore Clinton Road by flying his drone out there.
Okay guys, look at this road. Yo, which way should we go? Oh, you're gonna head this way?
Yeah.
Okay guys, the drone...
He parked his car just close to the beginning of Clinton Road. They eventually discovered a masked man holding sharp weapons.
Literally the Clinton Road demon!
Dude, he's sharpening his
Look
weapons.
at his face, dude! His mouth and everything!
The second he realized the drone was watching him, the mysterious man rushed to take it down.
Watch out, he's gonna throw it at you.
Whoa!
But failed. They rushed out of there, but left wondering who he was, and are still finding out about the scary masked man.
Dude, follow him.
Okay, I'm gonna try.
We can't follow him from low, but we can follow him from high.
Okay,
hopefully we'll be able to see.
Winged Waddle. Filmed a little less than 2 months ago, this bizarre-looking capsule suddenly appeared from nowhere and remained suspended in the sky in Miami. Naturally, citizens were puzzled and left wondering what it was, and out popped countless theories. The most obvious and first is that the mystery floating object is just a regular blimp, but witnesses claimed it was too windy for a blimp to remain still in the air like that. Thus came forward another theory. Was it a drone dressed up or designed like a penguin? Well, as plausible as it sounds, most drones emit a whirring sound, but this one was eerily silent. Thus, most began to think it was probably some sort of a UFO, since it vanished into thin air later. What do you think? Is it just one of those balloons that got stuck in parallax, or an unidentified alien craft? Aerial redemption. You might have seen a few incredible rescues captured on drones, but have you ever seen a drone recording its rescue? In perhaps one of the most cinematic drone rescues captured ever. Two drone owners were left in a race against time as their drone, which was cruising over a local river, drained out its battery and began hurtling to doom. As most drone enthusiasts would know, some models are not water resistant. This means even the slightest drop of water could damage them, possibly short-circuiting the drone's internal components, making a once great drone unusable. So at least we understand why the drone owner rushed to save it, but might I add, this nail-biting drone rescue had me at the edge of my seat. Yeti Fisherman.
Bakar lagi kayak apa yang betul? Apa itu?
A couple of rookie drone flyers discovered this mysterious creature as they were exploring an Indonesian forested brook.
Lagi apa? Pangatan badan ini.
At first, they couldn't make out what this creature was. From the top, it looked like a weird hairy apparition. So they decided to explore from a different angle. Here it all gets even more confusing. The mysterious creature was fishing, but that's not what makes it weird. While the drone owner and his buddies joke about the creature being a guard for the forest,
Bekas ikan tuh di airnya tuh. Yang mancing apa nih guys ya?
they also raise a great question. If it is a person dressed in some type of fur suit, how are they balancing on that trunk? Wouldn't the tree bulge under their weight, forcing them into the water? Is it possible that this really is some sort of a supernatural creature? Sadly, the drone was flown out of there, so we'll never know.
Kita dekat banget nih. Oh dia sadar guys, dia lihat.
Skybound snare.
Brookhaven police credit 911 technology upgrades, where they can hear calls for help as they come in.
In Brookhaven, a drone became the hero of the day in nabbing a grocery thief. Here's what went down. The police department posted a video showing the suspect with a public shopping cart. The thief had managed to escape grocery store employees and gone MIA, so countless deputies were on the go looking for him. The cool part? A police drone caught him changing clothes in a nearby neighborhood. And because of this high-tech surveillance, police managed to find out exactly where he was heading, keep an eye on him while he was supposedly on the run, and ended up catching him in under 10 minutes. The drone proved it's not just about aerial views, but jail views too. Haunted overpass.
Let's try to go back up then.
Whoa! Oh! Remember the iconic horror thriller Friday the 13th? Who wouldn't? The villain, Jason Voorhees, left quite a dramatic mark on most of the audience. His iconic mask even became one of the most popular attires during Halloween, but countless believe the movie was based on reality, and that the real criminal lurks behind tall trees, hoping for innocent victims to cross his path. Well, one YouTuber's venture into the woods with his drone led to a possible sighting of Jason Voorhees, and after taking a look, even I find it creepy. While exploring the forest, he and a friend stumbled upon an abandoned bridge.
Danger, no trespassing. Is it still trespassing if you're not touching it, but you're just like...
When they flew their drone there, they were shocked to see a figure bearing a stark resemblance to the movie villain.
Let's try to go back up then.
Whoa! Oh! The guy in the mask was even tempted to follow them, and bearing a sharp object, tried to reach higher ground so he could catch the drone. Luckily, the drone flew off, but boy, was that a creepy encounter. Oh! Crimson Currents. Believe me or not, this isn't AI-generated art. Neither has this video been tampered with. The truth is, unfortunately, far more gruesome than most of us would want. This was captured by a drone flying over the Iskymy River in Russia. And as spooky as it looks, the Iskymy River isn't the only one that's transformed into everyone's worst nightmare. The mysterious red is presumed to be the result of a toxic waste dump, but so far, Russian officials haven't been able to determine where it originates from and what exactly happened. Although they're thoroughly conducting the investigation, the biggest hurdle is how other rivers seemingly disconnected are turning deep crimson. Until then, residents have refused to interact with the rivers, skipping popular polar bear ice baths and dunking traditions until authorities give them the all clear. Leap at technology. Man, don't you hate it when you're trying to relax and a giant mosquito just comes whizzing past your ear, making that very commonly annoying sound? I bet that's what this alligator was thinking. Which is why it instinctively looked up at the drone, hoping it would go away on its own. Of course, whatever megamind was controlling the drone wasn't going to let go so soon, especially since they'd just come close enough to a freaking gator, and this is where it all goes down. Well, I bet this gator would have swallowed the drone, as if it came close enough, and I bet it taught the drone owner a thing or two about minding your own business. Goal versus Gadget. This is what happens when you mess with someone beyond your wingspan. A drone owner decided to mess with one of the seagulls they spotted mid-flight, and I have to say, they didn't think their decision through. Almost instantly, the seagull retaliated, and let's just say, the seagull wasn't just winging it, it was acting as the ultimate fly swatter. The unfortunate drone instantly took a tumble and began hurtling toward the earth at the speed of light. As comical as this is, I wonder if this is what birds see when they lose against predatory birds. Just the sky going dark as the winning flock of birds follows suit. Oof, that was unexpectedly dark, even for me. Explosive breakthrough. I guess Bugs Bunny is in a real bad mood. In 2020, Daikon Blasting Corps tackled a huge task in Texas. They were part of the Enterprise M2E3 project, which involved laying 600 miles of 36-inch pipe. Their job? The most challenging section, an 80-mile stretch known for its rocky landscape. Here's what they did. They blasted through 170,539 feet of rock. That's over 32 miles. And they used an incredible 948,025 pounds of dynamite to do it, all in less than 3 months. This project wasn't just about the scale, it was about careful execution near existing lines and populated areas, ensuring everything was done safely and efficiently. Daikon's ability to manage such a complex operation showcases their skill in handling. Well, I guess they got a lot of gigs after this. Venomous Vista. This guy found a different way to explore a rattlesnake's den, and it seemed to be working. Rattlesnakes and other snake species frequently form snake dens, mainly to evade predators and occasionally hibernate. It's incredibly dangerous to come across a snake den, even by accident, because these ambushed predators won't hesitate to inject their venom. And here, these rattlesnakes were already hissing and ready to have a go. And you can even see their rattle going crazy. Luckily, the drone can't be inflicted by their awful venom, or it would be already under 6 feet. But isn't this remarkable to see something you would never be able to otherwise, just because you've got an awesome gadget? From above with love. Our hobbies may look silly or futile to others, but sometimes they can be life-saving. Deputies in Washington were alerted of a missing persons case so critical, they rushed to search immediately. A 3-year-old girl wandered away from her family. Officials were scanning forests and crevices to ensure her rescue. The biggest hurdle was scanning the dense crowd of trees that prevented the officers from searching properly. Just as they gave up, one officer saved the day by bringing out his drone with heat-seeking cameras. Thankfully, the officer's drone picked up the girl's image and relocated her back to safety. Skyward Shoe-Off. One homeowner frequently encountered black bears and other wild animals intruding on their property. He was quite terrified because rescue services took a long time to reach their property. By then, the bears would easily escape into the woods. This is where they decided to take things into their own hands and simply turned on their drone to follow the animal. The whizzing of the drone, combined with its weird looks and unusual ability to fly in the air, scared the bear, which quickly made its way onto a tree in hopes of evading it. But the homeowner was hell-bent on driving the bear out, so they waited until the bear descended to chase it out of their property. First contact. Imagine never knowing anything like a phone existed, much less a gadget that could fly in the air and whir ominously. Well, for one innocent villager, a drone's flight may have turned into the biggest mystery of his life. A drone owner flew his Gadget in an undisclosed remote village. The minute the villager spotted the drone, we can see the color drain from his face as he backs up to drive space between him and the drone. Judging by his reaction, the poor guy had no idea what the drone was and possibly expected it to be an alien craft. Luckily, the drone owner had the sense to leave the villager alone, but I bet he still recounts the tale of the time he saw a UFO up close to his grandchildren. Heart Harvest. This is the most eye-catching animal feeding you'll ever see. The farmer handling these sheep is clearly too tired of handing out the food in bunches. Although sheep are gentle creatures, they can be quite the unstoppable force when hungry. Naturally, the farmer came up with a solution that would minimize his stress and maximize the sheep's intake. Look how he pours the grains, and it looks like he has the sheep trained enough to wait patiently for the pour. And aw, look at that! You've captured my heart, grain by grain. Lockdown Snitch. Remember when the first lockdown hit and we were all required to stay put in our homes during the lockdown? However, police in a small Indian village were facing a problem as the residents kept sneaking out and interacting with each other, despite the police trying their best to keep them away. At first, the cops tried to raid the areas to ensure everyone was inside, but the minute the villagers got wind of the raid, they would rush inside, forcing the cops to go back, until one of them decided to let the drone do the work. You can clearly see the hilarious situation unfold, as if it were a scene from a comedy movie. The neighborhood children were playing carom and abandoned all attempts to retreat the board in hopes of evading the drone camera's eyes. I bet the cops were having quite a day laughing at these pesky kids. Pratolino Mystery. They say a giant once dared to stare right into Medusa's eyes as she was sitting by a little creek in Tuscany and has remained there ever since, his misery set in stone. Well, wouldn't it be awesome if that were true? This is the Apennine Colossus, a structure that sits close to the Apennine Mountains and has become a popular tourist spot. The figure was carved by Flemish sculptor Guillaume Bologna in the late 1850s, and it is said to personify the mountains themselves. Over the years, the Apennine Colossus has been linked to several tales, including the tale of Pegasus, the Greek winged horse sired by Poseidon and Jupiter, the god of sky and thunder. As impressive as it is to etch something from stone, countless wonder about it really being a giant forced to perish on Earth, forever stuck in limbo. Flight for freedom. Birds frequently perceive drones as threats because they think anything flying close to them is out to get them. But imagine a drone saving the life of an unfortunate bird. A poor pigeon in Peru got stuck in a wire hanging from electric cables. Although it flapped its wings in hopes of swinging away from the danger, the pigeon was stuck firmly in the wire and needed to be cut free. Unfortunately, the authorities didn't have access to a ladder high enough to reach the cable. The situation became trickier because of the electricity running through the wires, posing a threat to the pigeon and its eventual rescuers. Scratching their heads, the residents approached neighbors to come up with a solution. Luckily, one of the neighbors had a drone and decided to fly it close enough to cut the wire from its sharp blades. Whew! That was a close one. Pup Salvation Dogs. Their willingness to chase their tails always leads them in tricky spots, often in places where they get stuck. The same happened to this poor puppy who somehow made its way down a cliff and was precariously dangling over the edge, afraid of even looking down lest it slipped. Thankfully, locals heard its yelp and alerted rescue authorities, who immediately sent personnel for the rescue. Here, they faced a big issue. The cliff was slanting and jagged, so the rescuer required guidance to ensure he was reaching the dog from a safe angle. And this is where the department's drone came in handy. With one officer hanging himself from the rope and reaching out to the dog, the other kept watch from the drone and directed him where to reach, leading to a very heart-warming rescue. Whimsical connection. These residents need a serious lecture about boundaries. Seriously, humans living in a human-shaped town. Talk about a close-knit community. This is Centropipe, a small town in Sicily, Italy that has been attracting tourists for countless decades. If its human shape wasn't enough, Centropipe has a couple of perks that differentiate it from other towns. Its residents make a living off agriculture, and although the town is privy to other wonderful towns, it prefers to remain to itself. This drone footage shows how incredibly beautiful Centropipe is. And here's the craziest part. As you can tell from the angle, Centropipe is built on mountain cliffs with long, winding roads dwindling down. Well, if you ever head out to Centropipe, it's a full-body experience. Riches to rags. You're watching the MV Golden Ray, a popular cargo ship, sink to the depths shortly after unberthing en route to the port of Baltimore. The ship had suddenly capsized during a starboard turn after becoming unstable, forcing hundreds of cargo down into the ocean. But the story is about to get sadder. The Golden Ray was carrying over 4,000 cars, including brand new Kia and Honda cars, and older luxury models from Mercedes-Benz and Ram. Tragically, most of these cars didn't make it. The rescue attempts took several days to succeed, and by then, countless cars had irreversible water damage or had simply sunk into the endless ocean with no promise of retrieval. Pause relief. After a tragedy struck near the volcano in La Palma, Spain, while most residents had been able to make out safely, countless animals were left stuck with nowhere to go. For a few short days, the animals, which mostly included dogs, were left completely abandoned because people didn't even know they were there. The dogs survived by feeding on scorched food, but were struggling to survive, until one curious resident's flight over the area led to the dogs' discovery. Unfortunately, reaching the dogs wasn't possible for people since most of the entryways had been blocked. So they came up with a simple solution. They tied dog food to the drone, which went around the area, handing out deliveries like Uber Eats. The drones continued the deliveries until rescue authorities came up with a plan to secure the dogs, which were happily adopted by the residents later. Slithering sandscape. Isn't this snake quite the artist? You might as well even call it a Picasso. This is the Sidewinder rattlesnake, and rightly named so. You're probably wondering why this snake doesn't slither like some of its other snake friends. Well, the Sidewinder typically lives in the desert, mainly parts of Arizona. Naturally, it can get pretty hot staying in a place like that, which is why the snakes have to move so quickly. Otherwise, the intense heat from the sand could hurt it. Well, even after finding out the truth, I'm pretty bummed, mainly because a snake is a better artist than I'll ever be. A grave watch. Nature. We go on and on about loving it, but it can be pretty darn intense. What you're seeing here is a whale carcass, one that had floated to the shore and remained there until parts of it had been picked clean by smaller fish. The drone carefully captured the poor whale's misery in its entirety. Looking at this sight gives us a glimpse into Mother Nature's twisted sense of humor. But why do whales float to the top after passing away? Well, there's a bit of science behind this one. After a whale passes away, its body produces gases like methane and hydrogen sulfide. These gases cause bloating, and the whale becomes too buoyant to stay in the water. It eventually rises to the top, where it stays for a couple of days or weeks. Eventually, the gases are released from the body, and the whale drops to its final resting place, the ocean's bed. Ostrich optics. It's a bird. It's a plane? It's a flying ostrich? That can't be right. Well, what do you know? It is a flying ostrich. This is the Ostrichcopter, a half ostrich, a half helicopter drone designed by visual artist Bart Jansen and technical engineer Arjun Beltman. The duo designed and tested the Ostrichcopter prototype back in 2013. And look how it goes! They claim the Ostrichcopter would make for an excellent drone, especially one keeping an eye over animals in the American savanna. Although I'm pretty sure the animals would only freak out. Funnily, Jansen and Beltman also made another animal drone, this time a cat called the Orville-copter. Here's that prototype taking flight. And I gotta say, if they made enough animal drones and programmed them to hurtle down toward the ground at the same time, it really would be raining cats and dogs. Shepherd drone. Herding sheep is quite challenging because while they move together in flocks, the slightest movement can cause them to rush in unpredictable directions. Well, one such flock was giving their sheep quite a hard time. So he decided to take matters into, well, his remote hands. Looks like this shepherd drones the line at traditional herding, and the drone is happily buzzing these sheep back to their standard formation. Getting a drone to herd the sheep isn't as easy as it looks either. The shepherd probably had to train his sheep for a few weeks so they could recognize the drone was there to herd them. Otherwise, most of them would probably think the drone was a pesky little bug and ignore it. But I got to give the shepherd brownie points for creativity. Doggo Duel.
Takeoff.
Go!
The home point has been updated.
This drone met its formidable match before it could even take flight. A German shepherd was testing out his new drone, which he planned to use to record his adventure with Io, his dog, when Io took offense to the drone's whirring and lunged at it unexpectedly.
Takeoff.
Go!
The home point has been updated.
Luckily, Io's human was close, so he was able to control the situation and get Io off the drone before the doggo could inflict much damage. But that was certainly quite the rough experience. Go!
The home point has been updated.
Silhouette Safari. You're seeing a drone capture larger-than-life shadows of a bunch of elephants en route to their destination. These majestic animals are known for their long migrations, which are driven by a need to find food, water, and suitable habitat. Most of us would have missed out on this incredible journey had it not been for the drone. As far as I know, this drone was simply keeping an eye on the migration. The elephants continue their humble walks until they tire out, in which case you might as well capture something as adorable as a herd sleeping blissfully like they just clocked out of a 9 to 5. Santa's herd. If I didn't know any better, I'd be convinced these were tiny ants marching their way to the single morsel of food they found lying somewhere in a corner. But that's the power of drones. They manage to capture gigantic creatures and transform them into tiny simpletons, kind of like that one scene in Journey 2, The Mysterious Island. This is a reindeer migration, one of the least videographed, luckily caught in full swing by a drone. The reindeer are en route to the south for warmth, where they'll be able to tough out the winters until they make the return trip to the north. Isn't it incredible, these majestic beings moving in formations, just like animals being herded by a shepherd? Except this is their own doing, which makes it even more incredible. Leafline Lake. Have you ever wondered what lies under our rivers? Turns out some of them hold unique tributaries that look like branches. And we only know this thanks to a drone that managed to capture one of China's most popular lakes, the Poyang Lake. Unfortunately, this isn't as merry a discovery as we think. Global warming caused intense heat waves, forcing the lake to evaporate dramatically. So, these branches we see were once the path where the lake flowed, but now they're just an etched reminder of our race against time. The Earth's core. I imagine if we told the Earth to open up about its feelings, this is what we'd find. This is one of the world's largest sinkholes, and believe it or not, this gigantic hole appeared suddenly at night while farmers in Konya, Turkey were snoring. Luckily, the sinkhole opened in a plain field, but has left the farmers terrified of the very ground they step on. They call this one the Inoba Abrek, and you can pretty much tell no man would dare to step in there. Luckily, this drone came as the perfect handy helper. It ventured deep underground, so explorers were able to figure out its depth and see what lay underneath. Nothing but water enriched with minerals, I suppose. But I won't be able to sleep now. Aquatic clarity. Forget what lies under murky waters. Let's talk about this incredible crystal clear lake. I can't even believe it. But as much as it looks fake, there really is a lake as clean as this one. This is the Washan, or the Nancy, the largest freshwater lake in North China. It's not only known for its impeccable cleanliness, but hundreds and thousands of lotuses that bloom to give it a pristine green look. I think it's quite beautiful. But the real heroes are the citizens who refuse to let this lake contaminate. Who knows what our lakes would be like if we didn't litter them as much? Exploring Clinton Road, New Jersey's most haunted road, is not an average person's dream. In fact, you might as well say every sane person ignores it, but we've got a few occasional folks who want to test their bravado by taking a trip down there. Well, one YouTuber decided to check out the road for himself, but he was still quite nervous, so he parked a little way from the road and explored the area with his drone to ensure it was safe to proceed. And let's just say, it went quite unexpectedly. His drone captured a hooded figure bearing a bright red mask. He continued following the mysterious person until they noticed they were being filmed. Almost instantly, the cloaked figure gathered rocks to hurl them in the drone's direction. Luckily, the YouTuber was smart enough to bolt out of there, or else he and his drone would be in a real pickle. Thank you very much for watching the video. Do like and share it with your friends. Subscribe to the channel and hit the bell icon to not miss any of the upcoming amazing videos. Thank you once again.